So before we start, here's our exciting lineup for today. So to kickstart, we have our speaker from CPF Board, Jean, who will share how you can kickstart your child's saving habits and ways to start saving for your child's future. She will also share more on how CPF supports your needs as a parent. In the second part of the webinar, we have our guest speaker, Jacinth, who is the founder of our Little Play Nest. She will share practical tips on how you can empower your child to develop good habits and responsibilities. So last but not least, we will then wrap up with a Q&A segment. And without further ado, let me hand the time over to our speaker, Jean.
Hey everyone, thank you for joining us at tonight's webinar this evening. It's really so nice to see so many of us tuning in today, despite having very busy schedules. Now, speaking of busy schedules, for those of us who are new parents or young parents, I'm sure we have all thought about the kind of parent that we want to be before, actually becoming a parent ourselves. And this is really, we think of being a parent who can juggle it all and have a very smooth sailing parenthood journey. But the reality is very different, right? You realize that, no matter how many parenthood books you have read or how many prenatal classes you have gone for, it doesn't really fully prepare you for parenthood. And a lot of times you are probably just, taking it day by day or trying to figure it out together with your partner. Now, as a parent, it's safe to say that your time generally revolves around your child, from things like waking up in the morning, getting them to school on time, even down to the small things like planning your own free time according to your child's napping schedule. We can admit that life got very stressful very fast as we embark on this new parenthood journey. So at this point, I'm very interested to hear from everyone here, which grade is your child in? Right, so if you have only one child, then just submit one answer. So you will see that there is a poll that will be launching right about soon, right? And if you have more than 2 children, you can let us know your youngest and oldest child's age. Right, so I will just give everyone some time to input your answers, and then I'm really interested to see what's our target audience, what's our audience like today, whether your child is in preschool, primary school, right? If your child's in primary school, maybe are they in lower primary or upper primary? All right, so I see that some of you have already responded. So maybe I will just I will let everyone, give everyone maybe 5 more seconds, and then I will close the poll. All right, okay, so let me close the poll in 3, 2, and 1. All right, okay, so I see that we have about half of our parents today here, your children or your child are in preschool, and then the rest are in primary school. Okay, so that's really interesting. Thanks for sharing with me that. Right, so regardless of our child's age, parents actually, we spend a huge chunk of our time worrying about our child, our family, especially for our first-time parents, where it's really normal to feel anxiety about some matters, right? And after all, raising a family is by no means any easy task, and we face a lot of huge emotional as well as financial pressure, right? From worrying about things whether your child is performing in school, to worrying about whether or not you yourself, you can strike a balance between your role at work versus your role as a parent at home, right? So there really is a lot of worries that parents, that you worry about, right? And one of the top concerns that young parents face is really the cost of parenthood, right? And this really boils down to multiple factors. For example, rising cost of living, planning for your child's financial future, taking care of your child's needs, right? And for some of us, that is also about taking care of our own aging parents. Now, speaking of rising costs, recently, girl math was a very trending topic on social media, right? And mom math subsequently became very popular as well. So, just to share some examples for myself, when I was growing up, I remember that one of the very first ways that my mom talked to me about money was showing how she saved. So, for example, my mom would try to save money by filling up an almost empty kitchen soup bottle with water, just like what Annette Lee shared in her TikTok video, so that she doesn't have to buy a new soap bottle, right? And I still remember asking her why she did so, and the reason that she shared is because times are difficult, so she needed to save money for the family. Then there's also other TikTok users online that says that, hey, if I spend $50 on makeup, to my mom, it seems like I spend $1,000. And then another very popular example is when you try to open Christmas presents carefully to avoid any tears so that you can reuse the paper for another gift. And then let's not forget about our dads here, right? There's also dad math. So dad math is when, your dad crosses the border to Johor Bahru and brave a 2-hour traffic jam to pump petrol in order to save money. And then, there's other popular examples about dad math, like, buying things for my wife is free because I make her happy, right? Happy wife, happy life. And then stocking up on home repair tools just because it's on sale, it's okay if I don't use it now. Right. So, jokes aside, right? Some parents may already find it a challenge to talk to your child about their day in school, much less than talking to them about money matters, right? And thus, it's really important to establish a connection with your child, which is actually cemented long before their teenage years. So, how do we build a connection with our child, right? So, for preschoolers, because they are still very young at a very tender age, instead of asking them, how was your day? Perhaps you can try asking more specific questions that include a prompt, right? So this is really to help your child zoom in and zero in on a detail or an anecdote that they may themselves even be struggling to articulate and to synthesize. Now, for primary school children, you can reconnect with your child by being very present. For example, by blocking out a short period of your time in your day to sit down and to do an activity together with them, right? Even if it's just 10 minutes of coloring or building a puzzle, this space that you have created for them allows your child to feel like they can, use this time to talk to you. Now, later on, we will also have Jacinth, who will be sharing with you on more practical tips on how you can empower your child to build daily habits as well as responsibilities. When it comes to financial conversations with your child, some parents may ask, Jean, should I let my kid just be a kid, right? And not worry about money matters? Will they even be able to understand the topics that I want to share? Right. So the truth is, it is never too early to start talking about money matters with your child, right? Starting early will enable them to, articulate, will enable them to inculcate, good financial habits. And in turn, it will save you from potential headaches when your child reaches adulthood. Now, you'll be surprised, kids also have actually this internal drive in them that makes them want to be independent, and this includes understanding money matters. So what helps is actually using words that your child can understand at that age, so using age-appropriate language. What you can also do is to bring in the values behind why money plays a very important role in your family. So for example, you can talk to your child about how you saving money will actually help you buy the house that the family is currently staying at. Now, even if a child isn't fully ready for facts, figures, numbers, right? He or she can actually understand the decisions that you make and the impact that these decisions have. It also doesn't have to be very complex, right? So one way to kickstart such financial conversations with our young ones would be to start small through daily activities. So for preschoolers, what this can look like is simply bringing your child with you when you go for your NTUC runs and explain to them that the items in your green basket needs to be paid before leaving the store. right? Children really learn the best when they are having fun. So what you can also explore is to experiment with role playing by encouraging your child to, set up a fake supermarket shop and giving them various items to sell and buy. So as for our primary school children, for those parents who have primary school kids, what you can do is, we will actually start giving pocket money to them, right, as they go for their recess. So what you can actually do is to sit down with them, talk to them about how they can spend their money, share their money, as well as to save it for some things that they would like to purchase maybe later on, right? And similarly, on grocery trips, for our primary school kids, what you can do is to let your child calculate the change that they will get back from the cashier after making payment for the items. Now, other than having such financial conversations with your child, you can also kickstart your child's financial future with the help of CPF. So most of us, including myself, probably had our first CPF contributions from our employer, right? And this is considered quite a milestone. But it doesn't have to be an employer that makes the first CPF contributions to your child's account. It can be yourself, right? So you can consider making a cash top up to your child's CPF accounts with the extra monies received during festive seasons, right? So you can choose to make a voluntary contribution to your child's 3 CPF accounts, which means that the contributions will be allocated to the 3 accounts accordingly. Or you can also choose to make a top up directly to their MediSave account in order to build their healthcare savings. Now, one misconception that generally most parents have is that your child only has a MediSave account created upon the birth of your child, right? That is not true. Because your child's CPF accounts are created as soon as the government credits the MediSave newborn grant. All right, so for just to share the interest rates for those of us who are below 55 years old for the various CPF accounts. So for those of us who are below 55 years old, we would have our ordinary, special, and MediSave accounts. And here are the interest rates applicable for each CPF account, right? So your ordinary account would earn 2.5%, and for your special and MediSave account, that would earn 4% interest. Now, we also get to enjoy an extra 1% interest on the first 60,000 of our combined CPF savings. And with the power of compound interest, the savings in your CPF accounts will be able to grow even more, right, at a more exponential rate. So at just $50 per month, your initial savings in your special account will be able to grow approximately from $3,000 to $18,000 in a span of 20 years. When your child is born, your child will also receive baby bonus and a child development account, which is also known as CDA for short, will be created as well. Right, so the CDA is a special savings account which actually earns up to 2% interest depending on the bank that you decide to open with. Now, some of us may be wondering whether or not you should top up monies to your child's CDA or to their 3 CPF accounts. Now, to provide some background, any unused monies from your child's CDA will be eventually transferred to the CPF ordinary account when they turn 31 years old. Right, so if you're thinking at this juncture, which account should I top up to? Here's some food for thoughts that you can consider. So for the savings in your child's CDA, it can be used to pay for educational expenses, such as to pay for registered childcare centers, kindergartens, special education schools, or medical expenses at healthcare institutions such as your hospitals and general practitioner clinics. On the other hand, the funds in your 3 CPF accounts can eventually be used for housing, retirement, as well as healthcare expenses. So there is really no right or wrong answer as to what accounts you want to top up for your child. And ultimately, it really depends on what's more appropriate for your child's needs and your overall intent to financially support your child. Becoming a parent can be a very exciting experience, but it can also be a very daunting experience for especially our first-time parents, right? Because you are really navigating this new role amongst other responsibilities. So to help defray some of the financial costs involved, you can rely on some of the government support schemes available, right? So for example, so these are some of the government support schemes outlined in this slide. So just briefly touching on maybe the enhanced baby bonus scheme, where parents can receive $11,000 in cash for your first and second child and $13,000 for your third and subsequent child. Right, so this helps to lighten the financial costs when it comes to raising your child. And there's also other various grants, such as your CDA First Step Grant, your Medisave Grant, amongst other forms of support and schemes out there to support our parents. Right, so you can find out more via the article that my colleague will be pasting in the announcement box. So it's really important to start talking to our kids about financial matters, because it's better for them to make $20 mistake than $20,000 mistakes when your kids are older. Right, so while taking care of your young ones, let's not forget to take care of ourselves as parents, where we also need to take care of our own retirement needs, such that we remain self-sufficient and avoid being a burden to our children. So aside from the 3 CPF accounts and the interest rates that I shared earlier, a fourth account will be created for you when you turn 55 years old, which is also known as your retirement account, and it earns 4% interest. So to enhance the retirement savings for those of us who are above 55 years old, the government gives extra interest of 2% per annum on the first 30,000 of your combined CPF savings, and then an extra 1% of on the next 30,000 for our combined CPF balances. So this means that you can effectively earn up to 6% interest on your CPF savings for your retirement needs. Now, as we work our way towards retirement, one common worry is that, we may outlive our savings, right? Because we cannot really actually predict how long we can live. And so there's this dilemma: if we were to spend too much, we realize that we do not have enough if we were to live longer. But then if you spend too little, you are actually depriving yourself of your hard-earned savings during your lifetime. So the answer to this dilemma that we have is CPF Life, which stands for Lifelong Income for the Elderly. And essentially, it is a national longevity insurance annuity scheme that insures you against running out of your retirement savings by providing you with monthly lifelong payouts, no matter how long you live. Right, and with CPF Life, you don't need to worry. You can continue to receive retirement income no matter what age you live to. So there are 3 CPF Life plans that you can choose from, so I will just briefly go through them one by one. Now, if you're someone who is worried about things becoming more expensive as the years go by, then you will need a retirement income that increases every year. Right, and that's where the escalating plan would come in to provide you payouts that increase by 2% each year. And so this generally helps to protect you against rising prices and inflation. Now, if you're someone who would prefer to keep within a fixed budget, even if it means you can afford to buy less as prices increase, then you can choose the standard plan where it gives you level payouts. Then if you're someone who is, able to even adjust your lifestyle further, buy lesser things, then the monthly payouts under the basic plan would be for you, because the payouts are lower and then will get progressively lower when your combined CPF balances eventually fall below $60,000. So if you would like to find out more on how you can plan for your own retirement, you can join our Planning for Your Retirement talks. So do keep a lookout on our events page, where we will update the upcoming talks that's happening. So to enjoy higher monthly payouts, you can also consider topping up to your special account if you are below 55 years old. And the maximum amount that you can do so is up to the prevailing full retirement sum at $198,800. If you are above 55 years old, then top-ups can only be made to your retirement account, and the maximum amount would be up to the enhanced retirement sum, which is $298,200. Now, do note that the top-up monies are purely for the purpose of building your own retirement savings and increasing your monthly retirement payouts. So therefore, the top-ups cannot be withdrawn, the monies cannot be withdrawn in a lump sum. So one way you can do a top up is by using cash. So you can top up to your own SA or RA depending on your age. And for cash top ups to yourself, you are eligible for up to $8,000 tax relief per year, and another $8,000 if you top up to your loved ones to help them build their own retirement savings. Now, please note that for cash top-ups from your full retirement sum up to the enhanced retirement sum, do not enjoy tax relief. Another option to top up to your CPF accounts will be to do transfers of your OA savings. Now, depending again on your age to earn the higher interest. However, please do plan carefully when doing such transfers because they are irreversible, right? Ensure that the monies you transfer are the funds that you do not need for other purposes, such as your housing installments. And also, there is no tax relief for CPF transfers. For those of us who may be planning to leave some inheritance for your child, I wanted to take this opportunity to share with you this perspective from this book called Die with Zero. So amongst other lessons, the author offers his perspective to die with zero while still taking care of your child's inheritance, right? Often when we think about the concept of inheritance, we think about leaving a huge or considerable sum of money to our children, right? And while there is no one-size-fits-all approach, consider using this amount of inheritance that you intend to set aside for your child to create more meaningful memories and lived experiences with your child during their growing years, instead of leaving them with a lump sum upon your passing. Now, this is of course on the assumption that we live to a ripe old age with medical advancements, but think about it, your child would be probably in their 50s or 60s, and by then, that sudden windfall may not be much of a benefit to them compared to when they are in their growing or starting out years. Right, this way you will also be creating more meaningful and enriching memories with your family. So this is just another perspective that you can take into consideration when you leave inheritance for your child. So in CPF context, where we come in is to help you make your CPF nomination, right? Essentially, a nomination allows you to specify who you want to give your CPF savings to and how much when you pass on. Right. For members without a valid CPF nomination, you will have your CPF savings transferred to the Public Trustee Office for distribution based on intestacy or inheritance laws. So here is just an overview of what is covered and not covered under the CPF nomination. And just a note to highlight is that your nominees will receive your CPF savings in cash by default. So making a CPF nomination is a very simple and fast-free process now. We have enhanced it, and so now you can do it online at the comforts of anywhere you like to do your nomination. So you can scan a QR code on the screen here to watch a short tutorial on how you can make your own CPF nomination.
Okay. Thank you, Jean, for the very informative sharing. So I know that building good habits cannot take place overnight, and as the saying goes, it takes 21 days for one to build a new habit, and it will take even longer for it to be sustained and established in your routine. So while you may want your child to adopt good habits at an early age, do keep in mind that building good habits actually does take time, and most importantly, do enjoy the process with your little ones. So actually, I'm also curious to hear from Jacinth on how she cultivates good habits with her own children at home. So Jacinth, would you like to share more with everyone?
Yeah. Hi, Nicole. Yeah, so for me, I think one habit that I teach my kids is about delayed gratification. So I really wanted to teach my girls specifically this because when she started primary 1 this year, I think many of parents here can agree, like they found this freedom where they can spend money at the bookshop. So for the first few weeks of school, everything was fine. She still got back quite a bit of money after spending on food. Then I start to realize that the pocket money gets lesser and her pencil box got bigger and bigger. That was because she found out about the bookshop and she started to buy a lot of things. Sometimes it's because her friends bought it. So that's why I decided to teach her that, hey, I know you want to buy so much, but let's think if it's a want or a need. So I teach her this concept of whether, the extra eraser, is it something you want or something you need? And I think it's important for us to have this conversation with our children because they think that everything is a need. So I also taught her that if she wants to buy something, she has to come back home to tell me what it is. And I also limit her to 1 item per month. So this is something I try at the beginning, and so far so good. When she wanted to buy like an eraser, she'll tell me this is a special eraser because it's a long one. You can press the top and the eraser will come out. Or that this eraser has a vacuum cleaner at the back. I'm like thinking, what is this vacuum cleaner? So there's this roller that you can roll the eraser dust, and she says this is a new eraser. So I asked her, is this a want or a need? And if you want to buy it, is this the first item you want to buy for the month? Because she tends to buy it at the first week, and by week 3, she sees something else and she wants to buy it again. So I think over the months, school is ending now, it's November. So far so good. And I also teach her that we can always talk about it. Like it's not that I won't let you buy it, but let's discuss how we're going to plan our money. And even for myself, like I have this habit of adding things to the cart and then don't check out. So it's my way of delaying my gratification. Yeah, so maybe you guys can also try this with your kids to teach them about delayed gratification. Yeah, okay. So I think I will jump straight into what I'm going to share today. We're talking about building habits, and I think many of us face this struggle, that you might be telling your child or telling others that, my kids know that they have to do their homework after school, but they keep procrastinating. Or that my child often forgets to bring their water bottle home from school. Or maybe you face this problem that screen time has ended, but the child just can't stop playing the game. You have to nag at your kids every morning when they get ready for school. They are very slow. Okay, I may not be able to see you, but I know many of you are nodding your head right now because these are habits that we expect our kids to already know. And why are they just not following, the steps? We have to nag all the time. So let's hope that after today's session, you can cut down on your nagging, right? That's my objective of today. So we'll be talking about empowering your child through daily habits and responsibilities, just to make sure we are all on the same page. When we talk about daily habits, it's mostly about having a balanced diet, eating, their veg, their carbs and the proteins. Reading every day, that's a habit that you want your kids to have as well. Outdoor play, unstructured time, homework routine, and sleeping enough. And some responsibilities could be them cleaning up after their messes or doing some chores, caring for the younger siblings, caring for their pets, packing their school bags, emptying laundry basket, organizing their time and taking care of their own stuff, saving money. Now, if you have a child who can do all of this every single day without nagging, that is quite a miracle because the kids are still really young and they are working on their impulse control. There's so much that they want to do, like playing with their toys. So if you ask them to, pack their school bags versus bring their toys, I think they will choose to want to play their toys more. So how do we get them to do their responsibilities and their daily habits? A little bit about me first. These are my 2 kids, right? This is quite an old picture. They are actually 9 and 7 this year, and I'm a parenting coach and a former school teacher. I teach parents through workshops, webinars, as well as online courses to teach them how to connect meaningfully with their children using research-backed strategies. And I'm also an advocate of helping parents communicate with their children effectively using suggested scripts and certain strategies because our children, they go through different stages of their development and you need to understand what they experience. So you can look for me on my website, ourlittleplaylist.com, or go to my social media, Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube. And yeah, just get more resources there. I am a huge advocate of helping parents to teach their kids the good habits as well as positive parenting strategies. Okay, so in today's session, you'll be learning 2 main things. Firstly, why you should not rescue your child. And secondly, really practical ways to empower your kids. So firstly, let's talk about this common mistake that parents often make. I'm going to share with you 3 scenarios, and I hope you can take this time to reflect and think what is the common mistake that we often make. So first, there's this boy who said that, no, little brother took my train. And the mother said, okay, don't snatch, don't snatch. Yeah, you can take the other train. Scenario number 2, your child is practicing to play the piano, and she says that, I cannot play this new piano piece. And maybe you might tell your child, is it too difficult? Why don't you try this song? It's easier. The third scenario is where your child finds that there's just so much to pack for their school. The mommy said, okay, let me pack it for you. I'm not sure if you find a common thing that these parents are making, right? So for most of us, we have this common mistake of being too eager to rescue our children. Not saying that you can't help your kids, but when we are too eager to jump in, we are depriving them of learning valuable resilience building skills. When you're always doing stuff for your children, you're telling them that I don't think you're capable of doing it on your own. So simple things like helping your preschooler open the bottle cap, all right, or helping your primary schooler, grab the socks from the drawer, right? These are things that they can do it if we encourage them instead of doing it for them. As a result, when we keep rescuing them, they do not dare to take risks or make mistakes because it has to be perfect, right? And they are then not willing to share their stories openly because you're always doing it for them. So we are going to learn ways to empower our children. And I will do it through these 3 factors that I've learned from Daniel Pink. I'm not sure if you guys have read his book. He's the author of Drive, The Surprising Truth about what motivates us. So in the book, he talks about these 3 factors that you can build in people generally to be more motivated. And what we're going to do today, for me, I'm going to break down these 3 factors and tell you exactly what you can do to build autonomy, mastery, and purpose in your child as you empower them with developing good habits and responsibilities. When we talk about autonomy, it's about having control and being able to make decisions. So you want your child to have some kind of control. It is a need, it's a hardwired need for all of us to want to be in control. You want to be in control, your kids want to be in control as well. So let's see later on how we can build this form of autonomy in our children. Second factor is mastery. So it talks about getting good at something. So if you want your child to start to do their homework, you want them to learn how to play a piano piece or even things like doing chores, they have to feel good that they are doing that. Finally, purpose. It has to be something meaningful, doing something that's important to them. So let's break it down. We'll start with autonomy first. How do you empower your kids to build autonomy? I'm going to give you very practical advice now, okay? If you want to take notes, you can write it down. So firstly, I highly recommend you have some form of routines and checklists. These checklists can also reduce a lot of power struggles because you want to gain autonomy, you want to tell your kids what to do, and they don't like you to tell them what to do. But if you have a routine or a checklist, it becomes a power struggle with this checklist that they have if they are not going to follow through. So what do I mean by checklist? If you look at the picture, it can come in various forms, right? So on the left side, there's this picture. It's dated 2nd August 2021. So it was during COVID period and we're all at home and there was Olympics. So the kids wanted to watch the Olympics and I think it's fine, right? They should watch it, but there are other things that they have to do, home-based learning and all. So we actually have a schedule, but note that this is not written by me. It was written with the children. And I highly recommend you create this kind of schedule or routine with your kids, have their input so that they feel this greater sense of ownership and they will follow through. So on the right side, you can see a schedule that I created using an Excel file. And we actually have like stuff that dad, mom, brother, and sister will do. So they know that, this is their assigned time, it's playtime, they'll be playing, they won't be coming to disturb parents and stuff. Now, on the bottom left, this is a common question I get from parents. My kids are very young. They can't follow these routines. Notice that I just use Post-it and I just draw out like visually what do the kids have to do. Breakfast, then they have to read, play, lunch, nap time. So if your kids are struggling with going for a nap or that, they want to go to the playground, you can tell them, oh, it's time for a nap now, or you can go to the playground after you finish your art, right? So having these visuals can help the younger kids. And on the right side, I have just a list, a very simple list that I put at the door when I tell the kids, the night before school, what do you have to do, right? And in the morning, did you bring water bottle, snack box and all. I don't nag at my kids because I would just say 3 words: check the list. Check the list. And they have the responsibility to do that. Sometimes when I tell my kids, okay, no, there are 3 things that you got to do, right? They are the ones who tell me, let's write it down, because they're so used to referring to that list and making sure that they get it right. And this is how we can also set them up for success. Okay. One tip that you can do is to stack new habits to current habits. I'm not sure if any of you find this familiar. It's actually from James Clear book, Atomic Habits. So for James Clear, he actually said that if you want to make a new habit, something that you do all the time, you can stack the new habits to the current habits. For example, after my lunch, I will read a book. Lunch is a current habit. Reading a book is a new habit. Or that after I'm home, I will remove the snack box from my bag. So this is something you can teach your child. If you have older children, introduce them to the idea, hey, today I heard in this webinar that we can learn to stack habits. Do you know what are stacking habits? And get your child to be part of it, okay? So that's for autonomy and giving them that control, because they can decide what they want to do with the routines and the checklist. Secondly, we will talk about mastery. So mastery is to be getting better at something, right? So I recommend that tip is to praise the effort that they put in and not the outcomes. And I think you might have heard this before, that when we praise the outcome, we are teaching our children to have a fixed mindset that you have to meet that goal. But if you praise the children for the effort, you are developing a growth mindset in our children to help them see that it doesn't matter if I don't achieve, as long as I put in my best effort and I keep trying, and that is good enough. So at this point, I wanted to show you this card of mistakes that I teach my kids, and you can try it as well. So if you look at the image, right, there is a staircase that I actually draw out, and I tell my girl, because she gets very frustrated when she plays the piano, and I'll tell her, in order for you to do better, in the process, you will be making mistakes. And that is okay, because every time you make a mistake, we celebrate it. It means that the mistakes have helped you to learn and you can get better. So these are some words that you can use to tell your kids, it was hard, but you did not give up. Even though the team lost, you all put up a good fight at the end, right? So these are phrases that you can tell your kids, these mistakes help you to learn, where we focus on the progression and not the perfection. So maybe some of you might be thinking, but my kids don't make mistakes at all, right? Now, of course, if they don't make mistakes all the time, then they won't learn about resilient building. So I do encourage you to, give them opportunities to see you making mistakes, normalize mistakes at home. And if they are not making that mistake, then you can also point out on the effort that they put in to avoid making those mistakes, right? So praising the effort is very critical for them to see that it is how much energy and how much what their attitude that they put in order to get the work done, and not whether they get full marks or not. So even when my kids get their spelling back, right, most of us would zoom in to how many mistakes that they have. But for me, I actually go through, maybe they got 3 mistakes. I will go through all 7 correct words with them first and tell them, hey, you got this correct, you got that correct, you got that correct, to help them feel that they are making the effort. Sometimes when our kids put in effort and we just focus on the mistakes, it can be very defeating. I mean, even for us, for example, if you're working and you're trying very hard, but your boss keeps pointing out the mistakes that you make, I don't think it's a good feeling for you, and you won't want to do that more. It's the same for our children. So let's try to remember to focus on the effort that they put in. So this staircase is something that I use at home. I have given the team this printable, so you can write your child's name. For example, my girl's name Charlotte's confidence ladder. So I use a magnet, and I will put her picture on it, or you can just put a sticker of her happy face, and I will bring her up the stairs. So she tells me that I can't do it, right? I can't spell this word. It's very difficult. So I'll tell her that you're at this stage now. I won't do it. How can I help you to get up the stairs? Maybe she starts spelling and she said, I don't know how to do it. I said, that's progress. You are trying, right? And if she tries again, let her know that you are moving up that staircase. And eventually, if you don't give up, you keep trying, you will reach whatever you want to achieve. Okay, so it's more about like putting in the effort and meeting their personal best versus telling them you need to get full marks. If you don't get full marks, which means that you're not good enough, right? I don't think that will motivate our children. It can be very, very difficult for them to want to do it. Like if you give them a certain responsibility to do and they're not doing it well, then they won't even want to try it. So let's praise their efforts or even trying. Okay. Now, we talk about mastery, also helping them to feel good, right? I want to introduce this idea of preparing the environment to set them up for success. There are 5 pictures here, and I'll go through them one by one. There's a reason why I put it here. So on the left side, one of the things that I do, right, is to make sure that my kids, the habit of putting their bags in the right place. Now, previously, it's just a corner and they just dump the bags there, and it's very annoying because sometimes the straps will just, go onto the common walking area, and I have to be the one to clean up for them. So I didn't want to nag at them. I tell them this is the home for the bag. And each of them have one basket. They'll put their bags in the basket. Okay. Another way to help them feel good that they're able to achieve is that, okay, you can't really see, but on the first picture, right, those cupboards here are where their socks will be placed. Now, I always put the socks in the bedroom until I realized that they find it so hard to remember they have to put on socks. They have to walk to the bedroom to take their socks. And by the time they get back, there's so many distractions on the way. So I decided, let's just put the socks near the door. And it works so well, right? You set up this environment for them. They know these are where my socks are. These are where the masks are. This is where my bag is. Okay. Now, the other second picture is our the kids' wardrobe. Just I think you are doing this as well, right? Basically, the lower drawers are for the children to grab their own clothes. If you put the clothes high up, then they won't have this habit of knowing that before they shower, they have to grab their clothes. After they are done, they have to go and put on the pajamas. If it's too hard for them to access, so one tip is to put everything low so that you don't have to be the one to take it for them. Even things like swimsuit, right? If you want them to get changed on their own, having this good habit, oh, we are going to have swim class at 3, at 2:30, you go and grab your swimsuit to change into. But if it's too high up, they'll be mommy, mommy. So then you still have to do it for them. So let's make sure that the environment is all set for them. Okay. So in the middle here, we actually have another basket for library books. Why did I set this up? I think many of us can agree that once the library books are all around the house and it's time to return, we have to go around to look for the books. As a result, sometimes the books are in their bags, sometimes they lend it to their friends, sometimes they hide it in the master bedroom, sometimes they put it in the toilet even. So there's one home for the library books. So that's how you can help them have this habit of putting library books always at the same place. Okay. The fourth picture is my little girl who was very young doing art. So what I wanted to showcase was that trolley at the back. So even at a very young age, I teach them where's the home for the color pencils, where's the home for the notebook, where's the home for the paintbrush, and they will then put it back where it belongs. Of course, not all the time, but at least they know how to clear up. Some of us will tell our kids, you have to clean up, but we don't tell them exactly what to do. So we need to manage our expectations. Our kids are still very young. We want to help them see that clean up means putting your pencils back where they belong, right? Cleaning the eraser dust, pushing your chair in, putting your notebook back. And finally, on the right side, to create that kind of environment for them to keep their toys, you can have shelves, you can have containers. So over here, my kids love to play Duplo and Lego. So they have to keep it, right? We don't want to keep stepping on the Lego blocks. So when we tell them, clean up, it's time for dinner, they don't really get what they have to do. So you can say, return the blocks to their home. Put them in the basket, put them in the box. Okay. So I hope you can take this time to think about the environment that you set up, the frustration that you're facing, and how you can then change and tweak a little bit to set them up for success. All right. So we talk about autonomy, right? We talk about mastery. Now we're going to go into the final one, which is purpose. So you want to explain to your children why they have to do homework, why they have to clean up, why they have to be quick in the morning, right? I think one effective way is to talk about your family values, the rules that you have at home, and the personal goals that you have for your children. So on the left side in this picture, we actually have a family rules paper where each of us will brainstorm rules and we'll decide and we'll vote, right? So for the kids, they say we have to play together as a family because they want daddy and mommy to play together. So for my daughter said we have to share. For me, my rule is that we sit and eat at the dining table. So certain rules that you have, then you won't have to engage in much power struggles because this is something that everyone spoke about it and do it together. Okay? So this is actually the most challenging part for me. I feel purpose is to explain to them and get them to understand. It won't happen overnight, right? It really takes a lot of getting them involved in the conversations for them to tell us why don't you want to do their homework, why don't they want to go for an outing, go for swimming, go for whichever class, right? So get them to share with you why, then you can help them to understand the purpose. Okay, so in summary, We spoke about why you should avoid rescuing your child because you don't want to deprive your kids of learning these resilience building skills. And we also talk about empowering your child through these 3 factors: autonomy, where they have control and can make their own decisions, where I encourage you to use routines and checklists, make sure they're visual so the kids can see them. Then we talk about mastery as well, getting good at something. So remember to praise the effort instead of the outcome, and also to prepare your environment to set them up for success. And finally, purpose. Okay, purpose is where you want to help them understand the why. Why are we doing all this? Why is mommy working? Why do you need to save money? Why do you want to take good care of your books? Right? These are things, if you can explain to your children, they are more likely to want to do it. They're more motivated, and that's how you can empower them. Okay, so that's all I have for today. If you have any further questions, I'm happy to take the questions. You can also look for me on Instagram at Our Little Play Nest, my website, as well as my email. Yeah, so I think we'll go into the Q&A now. Nico?
Yeah, sure. So before we go into the Q&A, thank you for your very insightful sharing. You know, I picked up a few tips that, you know, I can use in future with my own kids as well. Yeah, so before we dive into the Q&A, just some short sharing about a few of the CPF board's initiatives. So first up, CPF has recently launched a digital escape game that's designed for youth to pick up key CPF and financial literacy concepts. So if you're scratching your head on what financial concepts can you actually teach your child, you can actually book a game slot by scanning the QR code here to play with your child. Okay, so next, I'm not sure if any of you guys know that actually CPF board, we launched this CPF volunteering program about 2 years ago. So in this CPF volunteering initiative, we do have members who sign up to be a volunteer with us. There's no upfront commitment required, in the sense that we don't mandate volunteers to, you know, go down for outreach or engagement with members. So we do have volunteers who are also keen on learning more about CPF, the various CPF schemes that we have. So on the CPFV app, once you download it, you register as a volunteer, you are able to, you know, unlock a lot of resources that's available in app. So there are training resources, volunteering opportunities as well, and you know, step-by-step modules that give you a brief overview of the various schemes that the CPF board has. Okay, so you can also do give us a follow on our various social media channels. So as you can see, we are actually on every platform available. So Facebook, Instagram, Telegram, we even have a podcast and our YouTube channel as well. So on our YouTube channel, you can also find different webinars on the various CPF topics like this. Yeah, so we also have our CPF mobile app where you can get an overview of your various accounts, CPF accounts.